Slaves of Seville, the Great House of Jamaica. One of Jamaica's most significant historical sites, the Seville Great House is located in the parish of Saint Anne in the area of Town Priory near the north coast of Jamaica. The site is part of Seville Heritage Park and is the location of the first Spanish capital on the island, known as Seville la Nueva. The site was originally a large Tayo village called Miami, who were the island's first inhabitants and who were largely wiped out by European disease, forced labor, after the Spanish arrived in 1509. The Spanish established Seville la Nueva, meaning New Seville, as the first capital of Jamaica. This would mark the very beginning of European colonization and introduction to enslaved Africans to the Americas. In 1655, the British captured Jamaica, and the land was developed into the Seville sugar plantation. The plantation was a fully scaled economic operation dependent on enslaved African labor for hundreds of Africans. At the north coast of Jamaica near St. Anne's Bay was the arrival and primary landing point for slave ships arriving from Africa. These enslaved Africans, who survived the horrible Middle Passage voyage, disembarked here, broken in, and sold into slavery plantations like Seville, the Great House. Seville served as the command center for the entire plantation. From the veranda, the owners would look over the vast fields of sugar works and the slave village, overseeing the entire operation of slave exportation. Every pound of sugar produced, luxury item imported, and social events held at the Great House was paid for by the forced labor of enslaved Africans. Field workers was the vast majority of enslaved Africans. They were also known as field slaves. Their work was dangerous, backbreaking, and demanding. It involved clearing land, planting canes, weeding, and harvesting under the tropical sun. Harvesting was the most brutal part that would require 18 to 20-hour days to cut, process, and care for the cane before it spoiled. There was a small group of slaves, also known as skilled slaves or elite slaves. These slaves were blacksmiths, carpenters, boilers, and domestic slaves, which include cooks, maids, and nannies who worked in the Great House. Housing for enslaved was located in less desirable land not too far from Seville, also known as the slave village. They lived in small huts called watadon cabins. These cabins were made by weaving sticks and by being plastered with mixture of mud, clay, and manure, and the roof was made out of palm leaves. There was little protection being offered by these huts from the rain, insect, or cold. They were sparsely furnished with rough bedding straws, and entire families would be placed into a single room. Life for the enslaved Africans was governed by threats of violence, overseers armed with whips, and forced work quotas. Slaves were punished for resistance, working too slow, or attempting to escape, where severe and public weapons, branding, and iron shackles was used to terrorize the population into submission. Some individuals inevitably escaped into Jamaica's interior to join established Maroon communities of free, formerly enslaved people who fought guerrilla warfare against the British. Saval tells a tale of two worlds existing side by side, one of the easy life, comfort, and power in the great house, and on one of unimaginable hardship and incredible resilience in the slave village. It had an image for life back then with the gray house,